I want to show you how to send contact form data from your website to a Google Sheet. You can also use this approach when you want to collect user signups and store them in a Google Sheet, or for example you want to store the user information when they join your waitlist on your website. So let me show you. So in this case I have just a very simple contact form on my website, just name, email and message, and I have this Google Sheet with the same columns, and I'm hitting the send button. I'm going there, and yep. And for this we're gonna use an NA10 tool. This is the low-code / no-code solution to automate your workflows. And in this case we have 3 nodes, but don't mind this Telegram node. Let's just focus on these 2. So the webhook node is responsible to create a publicly accessible URL, so your website can actually call this URL and pass the data, and then this node passes the data to Google Sheets node, so it again can extract the data and pass it to the Google Sheets API call. Let's take a look how to configure this node. So the webhook node, and by the way, how to create the node here. So you can click on plus and have a webhook. Yeah. So this is how you can create a new one. And for the current one, what we need is that you may set an authentication. I would advise to do so, because otherwise any bots or other people can call this publicly accessible URL. And when you choose the authentication, like authentication headers, you need to create a new credential. So I already have one, but if you don't, you can create like and some value. A ship method could be anything, but in my case it's post. And in case you use some website builders like with Webflow or Bubble or some else, they may only have an option to use some specific HTTP methods to call a webhook when you try to hit the send button here. Then respond immediately, and response code should be 200. This on the right side, I have the output window, and currently I don't have any data, so let's test how it can work. So we need to hit this button, listen for test event. Now I'm gonna go to this API testing tool, and then hit the necessary headers here, authorization one, then the content, then I'm gonna hit send. And yes, here we see the data that I sent. So I sent the body, name, email, message. So then we can go to this Google Sheets node and try to configure this one. For this node, in order for that to work, you need to create a credential for Google Auth API. In order for this node to work, you need to create a credential. I already have one. It's a Google Service Account API, but in your case, you need to create a new one, and it will be OAuth 2, not Service Account. How to create that, I'm gonna skip it for this video, but I'm going to attach the link to the documentation. And then for the resource, you need to click the sheet with the document, and then get not the get rows but append row action, and then you need to find this document. So the document is the Google Sheet that you just created. So you can go to Google Drive and just create a new Google Sheet. You can name it whatever you want. And then here we need to specify the ID. And the ID of this sheet will be this value. After spreadsheets /d/ and this is the ID. Then you can choose the from list option, and it should automatically load the sheets you have. So you choose this one, and the mapping columns. Again, you can choose map automatically, but I would advise you to choose map each column manually, because it automatically loads all the columns you have, name, email, message, from the sheet. And you need to pass the request body from the webhook node to here. And in this case, we need to use drag and drop name. Then for email will be email, and for message, again just message. And we can test it. So let's see, yep. For this to work, you also need to, for this Google Sheet to be publicly accessible. So you need to go to File, Share, Share with Others, and click the Anyone with the link with the editor permissions. And then hit Done, and you're ready.